name is Carla Bisson, owner of Bisson Art Gallery. Today we're here with Franny Koelsch at the Koelsch Gallery, and this is an opportunity to get to know the gallerist. How are you doing today?
Fine, I'm so enjoying being with you. We've had such a nice talk.
Good. I've been excited to walk through the gallery, and it's an amazing space. Make sure if you're in the Houston, Texas area, you come down to near Gray Street in the Montrose area, and let's find out a little bit more about you and the gallery. Tell us your story.
So I started my career right out of college. I studied fashion, and I was in fashion and began to meet artists, and I bought 2 pieces of art at an auction, and I loved coming home and living with art. And at that time period, I thought you had to be the Demonils to be able to live with art. And so I just, such a pleasure to end my day. And I started thinking, you know, I know people who don't realize they can live with art and what a joy it is. And I kept meeting artists through fashion, and I started out to have a one-day show. They didn't call them pop-ups back then. And then I moved my furniture upstairs in my Montrose house in 1994, and 29 years later, we're still here. And we are currently in a 100-year-old Montrose house. I went back to my roots, and it's been the most wonderful 29 years of my life, the journey, the artists, the collectors, the art I live with. It's a magical life that I can't believe I'm living.
That is great. We are in front of an amazing piece. Tell us a little bit about the artist and this piece here.
So the artist is Lance Letcher. He is an Austin-based collage artist who's shown worldwide and is in numerous museum collections from the MFA in Houston, McNay in San Antonio, Austin Museum, and many more. He uses vintage books, magazines, any paper that just really grabs him, and then he meticulously cuts out 6 hours a day imagery that he loves, and then he later collages it all together. And each has its own story, but he doesn't really tell you the story. He likes you to make your story out of it.
I love that. And so how do you feel your fashion may have embraced you to also get into the art world?
I think buying the 2 pieces of art and living with them is what got me in the art world. And fashion, there was numerous artists that also worked in fashion, so I think that's how they cross over. And I also consider fashion an art form. And after many years, I went back to designing about 5 years ago, so I have a small clothing line that is called Ears of Buddha, and that, I would say, the art influences what I design. So in a way, the fashion doesn't really influence me with the art, but the art influences the fashion I design.
That is great, and you're actually wearing one of your designs. I saw it and thought it was beautiful, lightweight, you know, feminine, beautiful, and it looks great.
Thank you. I'm very fabric driven, which again, it's like pieces of art to me. So I start with fabric and say, wow, that's beautiful. What am I going to do with it?
Yes. And so how do you find some of your artists? Or how do they find you?
It's a combination. I have people reach out to me. I keep my eyes out open when I'm traveling, or even just going around the city. I'd say most of the artists now, like say if they're Houston based, they approach me, but my eyes are just always open. And Lance's work, the first time I saw his work was an art fair in 2002. It's the first art fair the gallery ever did. It was in New York, and when I was looking throughout the fair, I turned the corner and I was like, I love this piece of art. Who is this? And I hadn't heard of Lance at that time period, even though he was Texas based, and obviously we are too. And he has been on my radar ever since, and we just started working together a year ago, and I have a couple of pieces in my own collection of his, and so thrilled to be working with him and his talent, and he's a wonderful person to work with too. So I just always have my eyes open, and I don't know exactly. Many years later, I ended up working with him, even though I fell in love with the work in 2002.
Yes, and I appreciate that we had a conversation regarding starting into our art gallery experience and our careers, kind of, you know, figuring things out along the way. Any advice to new art collectors that come into your gallery and want to collect a piece? Anything that could just make them feel a little bit more confident?
So I've had this conversation numerous times, especially when I first opened. My goal was to make people feel comfortable, because I was nervous when I bought my first piece of art, and I will tease someone when I do sell them the first piece. I'm like, don't go crazy and open a gallery maybe like I did. But lots of times when people are nervous, but they're interested because they've come in, they'll say, I don't know anything about art, or I'm not sure. I said, well, let's start with the basic. Do you like this or not? All the other things fall behind that. You've got to stay true to something that speaks to you. And whether you're a seasoned collector or a brand new collector, I had a seasoned collector in that loved the artist, loved the artwork, but at that particular time it didn't speak to her, and I said, you can't buy it. And my favorite story, when I first opened, I had a couple come in and they wanted a piece of art over their fireplace. So everything I showed them that fit over their fireplace they didn't love. They loved another piece of art, and I said, okay, you either buy nothing or you buy the piece of art you love. And they looked at me like I was crazy. I said, well, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna buy the piece you don't really like from over the fireplace. You're gonna move. It doesn't go over the fireplace next time, and you're gonna hate me and throw darts at my picture. And so they didn't buy anything, and they thought I was strange. And they came in about 5 years later and said, what is that? How'd you know we were gonna move in 5 years? And I said, well, it's kind of the age we were at the time period, and that's kind of, people buy our first house and they move, and they didn't really think I was strange, but I think they trusted me.
Good, yes. And
you don't want anyone to buy anything that's not right for them.
I agree. And you definitely, when you have a partnership like a spouse or someone else that you both have to look at it, it can be a little challenging to make sure both people are truly happy with it. Yeah, because I've had a few collectors purchase something and then call their significant other and say, yeah, I bought another piece. And so they're like, I really hope they like it too.
But yes, I've had a few episodes where that didn't go so well. But I also had kind of a beautiful story. I had old friends, and they liked different things, and I noticed their eye, and this is when we were all in our late 20s or early 30s, and they just said, no. And then all of a sudden, one day, they loved the same piece. And the really magical part about that was she had just found out that she was pregnant, and that ended up being her Mother's Day to be a gift. And they hadn't liked everything the same, and I showed them lots and lots of things. So it really is kind of a magic that has to happen for it to be right for you.
I agree. Well, thank you for another conversation with the Gallerist. Again, come visit the gallery. It's a beautiful space, wonderful artwork. If you have any questions, as you can see, Franny is excited to speak about art and answer all of your questions. See you soon.